10 surprising reasons the Vatican Museums Tour is worth it. Part 1. The Vatican Museums are a collection of 54 museums or galleries containing over 70,000 pieces of art from over 3,000 years, including masterpieces from Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and Botticelli. It is a must-visit destination for anyone interested in art, interested in history, interested in architecture, or simply wanting to experience Vatican City and its grandeur. A Vatican Museums tour is a cultural and historical destination like no other, attracting over 5 million visitors each year with art literally on the floors, on the walls, on displays, and on the ceiling. Visiting the Vatican Museums in person and a guided tour is the only way we would ever visit this popular tourist destination. It all combines for an incredible experience.
Hi, it's Dan from Nancy Dan Travel the World. We are both seniors who love to travel and experience popular tourist destinations like the Vatican Museums, as well as the hidden travel spots around the world. Join Nancy and I on our Vatican Museums tour. See what we saw, experience what we experienced in the summer of 2024.
As you watch this part 1 of our 2-part Vatican Museums tour video, you will discover why the Vatican Museums are not just another tourist stop, but a profound journey through history and art. There are many misconceptions that we will also discuss about the value of spending time at the Vatican Museums. 5 million visitors a year can't be all wrong, right?
And as you are enjoying this tour of the Vatican Museums with us, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. And feel free to share this tour with your family and friends. And as well, consider subscribing to our Nancy Dan Travel the World YouTube channel, where we share our experiences to the popular and hidden tourist destinations, literally around the world. In this part 1 of our 2-part Vatican Museums tour video series, we will focus on the beginning of the tour and on some of the sculptures that we experienced. Part 2 will focus on the paintings. Now, Nancy and I are not art historians, not in the least. However, we will add a few facts here and there from our research. Yet we will have portions of this tour where we will limit our talking, so again, you can experience what we experienced it, how we experienced it in the Vatican Museums. Where to start? Well, let's start with reason number 1 why Vatican Museums tour is worth it. Location.
As mostly everyone knows, the Vatican Museums are located inside the walls of Vatican City, next to St. Peter's Basilica, one of 7 churches in the Vatican. Vatican City is located about 1.6 kilometers north of the city center of Rome on the west bank of the Tiber River. The entrance to the Vatican Museums is at Viale Vaticano, which is where Nancy and I met the tour. It was very convenient. We took shelter under the canopy of the cafe directly across the street from the entrance during a brief shower, waiting for our tour to start. Once your Vatican Museum tour is finished, you will be brought to an open area of Vatican City right next to St. Peter's Basilica, as you can see here. From here, our tour continued into St. Peter's, which most do. It was so convenient. I should also mention that from this area, you can walk a mere 10-minute easy walk straight down Via della Conciliazione to visit Castel Sant'Angelo, commissioned by the Roman Emperor Hadrian, which opened in 139 AD. It is another popular tourist museum.
Reason number 2 why a Vatican Museums tour is worth your time on your trip to Rome? Terrific tour guides.
Our Vatican Museums tour guide, Laura from LivTours, was great. She is an art history major from college, so she has the academic background. She had also been a Vatican Museums tour guide for more than 10 years. Her experience showed from having a great pace to our 2.5-hour Vatican Museums tour, to knowing the best locations for memorable selfies like these, to how to communicate the importance of selected art pieces throughout our tour. Or even reminding us that the water coming out of various fountains in Rome are drinkable thanks to the historic Roman aqueducts, like this one here in an outdoor area between buildings of the Vatican Museums. So yes, I did refill my water bottle here in Vatican City. Part of the Vatican Museums tour was of the Sistine Chapel, where no filming or loud tour guide talking is allowed. Knowing this, Lotta took the time while our group waited outside for the Vatican Museums to open to use picture cards showing pictures of the walls and the ceiling like this, showing us and explaining to us what we were going to see in the Sistine Chapel towards the end of our tour. How paintings of Moses were on one side representing the Old Testament, while paintings of Jesus Christ were depicted on the other side representing the New Testament, and much more. This made for great use of our time as other groups were lining up behind us closer to the opening time of the Vatican Museums.
Reason number 3, your Vatican Museums tour can start before or right at the opening of the Vatican Museums.
Unlike the Colosseum tour in Rome that we booked to start at the opening of the Colosseum, but did not, our Vatican Museums tour did. You see here how empty the entrance was once we got inside. We were group number 3. Being amongst the first group to go inside helped us to not feel anxious or uneasy with large crowds and let us have time to reflect and absorb what we were seeing and what Laura, our tour guide, was telling us. We had time to stop at several places, such as here in the Cortile della Pina, that is the Pine Cone Courtyard. It's beautiful.
Reason number 4, you do not have to be an art expert.
Remember at the opening I stated that the Vatican Museums is comprised of 54 museums containing over 70,000 pieces of art from over 3,000 years? Most older adults and seniors are like Nancy and I, and though we are not art experts, not even close. But not to worry, because that is the job of the tour guide, to have that knowledge and experience and to be able to communicate with you in a way that makes sense to you throughout your journey. While Nancy and I certainly felt awestruck throughout our tour for what we are seeing and experiencing, we never felt overwhelmed. Not at all. We never felt that it was too much for us. We never felt that we should not have taken time to visit the Vatican Museums. It was the opposite. If we ever return to Rome, we will do another guided tour of the Vatican Museums with the same tour company, LivTours, and hopefully Laura, our tour guide, is still with them.
Reason number 5, why a Vatican Museum tour is worth it? Terrific crowd control inside the Vatican Museums.
As you will see in the rest of the various videos from our tour focusing again on the statues, and in our part 2 of our Vatican Museums tour, which focuses on the paintings, there were nowhere near the crowds that we experienced in the Colosseum in Rome. Perhaps in part due to the very nature of museums, perhaps in part because the Vatican Museums are right next door to one of, if not the holiest of religious sites of worship in Christianity, St. Peter's Basilica. But I think it is also because of the way the Vatican Museum officials control how many are let in each hour. This allowed for generally low crowds inside. As mentioned at the beginning, this part 1 will focus on the start of our guided tour with Laura from LivTours, as well as the statues, some of the statues, a few of the statues that we saw on our tour. While we will not show you every single statue, it would be impossible. Let's continue our part 1 of our tour looking at many of the statues Nancy and I saw and experienced on our Vatican Museums tour, experiencing them as we did. I'll indicate very briefly the names of selected statues on the screen so you can look them up to learn more about them at your pleasure. And with that, let's focus now on, again, some of the statues that Nancy and I saw on our guided tour of the Vatican Museum.
So, have we convinced you, an older adult or senior, that spending your time vacationing in Rome on a guided tour of the Vatican Museums is well worth your time? In part 2, when we focus on some of the incredible historic paintings and masterpieces we experienced on our tour, we'll cover 5 more reasons, many somewhat surprising, why a guided tour of the Vatican Museums is worth your time. So when our part 2 video is ready, we'll display it for you and you can click right here to continue your tour of the Vatican Museums with Dan and Nancy. Or you can click this other link to another of our Rome tourist adventures. Thank you very much for watching and liking this video. We'll see you next time.